Ferrari looked fast enough to fight for the podium in Hungary. Then Fred Vasseur revealed the problem that changed everything. The car was balanced. Lewis Hamilton was competitive. Charles Leclerc was in the fight. But traffic and a red flag had stopped Ferrari from fully understanding its true long-run pace. That uncertainty became dangerous. Hamilton qualified second, then dropped to fifth after his penalty. Leclerc stayed close to the podium. And by Sunday, Ferrari was no longer controlling the race. They were reacting to it. The shocking part was not that Ferrari lacked speed. It was that the speed was real, the opportunity was there, and the team still did not have the full picture when it mattered most. Subscribe to the channel. Editor. To understand why Vasseur's warning mattered so much, we have to return to Friday, when Ferrari looked like it had finally found the right balance. Hamilton finished first in the second practice session. Leclerc finished second. A Ferrari won too, on a circuit where confidence can disappear in a single corner. The Hungarian is narrow, technical, and demanding. One turn leads directly into the next. A small mistake can damage an entire section of the lap. That makes balance critical. If the front of the car does not respond, the driver hesitates. If the rear becomes unstable, the driver cannot apply the power with confidence. If the tires begin to overheat, the performance can disappear before the team has time to react. But Ferrari looked comfortable. The car appeared stable through the slow and medium speed corners. Hamilton and Leclerc could push without constantly correcting the steering wheel. For once, Ferrari did not look like a team searching for answers. It looked like a team that had already found them. The high downforce package appeared to suit Budapest. In simple terms, the car seemed capable of creating the grip needed to remain connected to the track through the circuit's long sequence of corners. Think of trying to run across a polished floor. You may have all the strength in the world, but without grip, that strength becomes useless. Ferrari finally looked connected to the surface. The front responded. The rear remained calmer. The drivers could commit, and commitment creates speed. That was why Hamilton's performance felt so important. He was not simply producing a quick lap. He was showing that the Ferrari could behave predictably. A predictable car gives the driver trust. Trust allows later braking. Trust allows more speed through the corner. Trust allows a driver to attack instead of waiting for the car to make a mistake. Hamilton had that trust. Leclerc had it too. And when both drivers feel confident at the same time, the team begins to believe the performance is real. Suddenly, Ferrari was not only thinking about points. A front row start looked possible. A podium looked realistic. And if everything went perfectly, even a fight at the very front no longer seemed impossible. But Vasseur refused to celebrate. He admitted the balance looked good. He also recognized how competitive Ferrari had become. Still, he warned that the session had been difficult to read. Traffic had interrupted the runs. A red flag had broken the flow. The longer stints had not revealed everything Ferrari needed to know. That was the problem. The car looked fast, but the team did not yet understand how that speed would survive across an entire race. And that difference was far more serious than it first appeared. Practice pace can create confidence. It can also create a false sense of security. Teams may use different fuel loads. Engine settings may vary. One driver may find clean air, while another loses an entire lap in traffic. A red flag can stop the exact run that would have revealed tire wear, balance changes, and true race performance. Ferrari had enough evidence to believe the car was competitive. It did not have enough evidence to know exactly how the race would develop. That uncertainty changed everything. A car can be exceptional for one lap when the tires are fresh and the fuel load is lighter. Then Sunday arrives. The fuel changes the balance. The tires begin to heat. The grip starts moving away from the driver. The same car that felt sharp over one lap can become much harder to control over a long distance. It is the difference between sprinting across a room and running several miles. The first challenge is about speed. The second is about control. Ferrari knew it had speed. What the team still needed to understand was whether that speed could survive the full race. And Vasseur knew Friday had not provided a complete answer. That was why his caution mattered. He was not denying the performance. He was questioning how much Ferrari truly understood. And once qualifying arrived, that uncertainty became even more dangerous. At the Hungarian, starting near the front gives a driver more than clean air. It gives control. There are fewer cars ahead. There is less danger of becoming trapped in traffic. The team can choose its own strategy instead of reacting to everyone else. Hamilton appeared to have secured exactly that advantage. He qualified second. For a brief moment, Ferrari had everything it needed. a fast car, a confident driver, a front row position, a realistic path toward the podium. Then the stewards intervened. Hamilton was judged to have unnecessarily impeded Oscar Piastri during the final part of qualifying. The punishment was 3 grid positions. Second became 5th. At another circuit, that might have been manageable. In Hungary, it changed the entire race. Hamilton did not only lose 3 positions. He lost clean air. He lost strategic freedom. He lost the ability to attack from the front row. And most importantly, he lost control. Every car ahead became another obstacle. Another driver could slow him through the corners. Another team could stop early and force Ferrari to react. Another battle could overheat the tires. Another lap in traffic could erase the advantage Ferrari had worked all weekend to create. The penalty did not make the Ferrari slower. It made the speed much harder to use. And this is where Vasseur's earlier concern became impossible to ignore. Ferrari had not fully understood its long-run performance. Now Hamilton was starting deeper in the field, where tire management, traffic, and timing would become even more important. The exact areas Ferrari had not been able to read clearly on Friday were about to decide Sunday. That was the cruel connection. The team had seen enough speed to create hope. It had not seen enough race data to feel certain. When a Formula One car follows another car closely, the airflow becomes messy. The front wing loses some of its effectiveness. The car begins to slide more through the corners. The tires work harder. The driver may still feel the speed is there, but using it becomes more expensive. Think of trying to run quickly while someone keeps placing obstacles in front of you. You can still move. You can still make progress. But every change of direction costs energy. That was Hamilton's race. The Ferrari had pace. The conditions were taking it away, piece by piece. And this is where one hidden problem became another. If Hamilton pushed harder, the tires could overheat. If he protected the tires, the cars ahead could escape. If Ferrari stopped him early, the final stint became longer. If Ferrari waited, he risked losing even more time in traffic. There was no clean answer, only compromise. And compromise is dangerous when the field is close. Ferrari was no longer trying to choose the perfect strategy. It was trying to choose the least damaging one. That is a completely different situation. The team had to estimate tire life with incomplete long-run information. It had to judge traffic that was changing every lap. It had to predict what McLaren would do. And it had to manage Leclerc's race at the same time. That last part mattered more than it first appeared. Leclerc was still close enough to fight for the podium. Hamilton was trying to recover from 5th. Ferrari now had 2 cars with different needs. Hamilton needed movement. Leclerc needed protection. Hamilton needed Ferrari to create an opportunity. Leclerc needed Ferrari to avoid destroying the opportunity he already had. One driver needed risk. The other needed control. And when both cars need different answers, the pit wall loses simplicity. A decision for Hamilton could affect the traffic around Leclerc. A defensive call for Leclerc could reduce Hamilton's attacking options. A delayed stop could protect one driver while exposing the other. Ferrari had 2 competitive cars, but it did not have one simple race. It had 2 separate problems, connected by tires, traffic, and timing. That gave McLaren a powerful advantage. Not necessarily overwhelming speed. Control. The cars ahead could manage the pace. They could watch Ferrari's choices. They could react after Ferrari moved. That meant Ferrari often had to take the risk first. And the team that moves first usually reveals its hand. Imagine opening a door without knowing what is on the other side. Ferrari had to step through. McLaren could wait, watch, and decide whether to follow. That was the strategic pressure Hamilton was now facing. The penalty had not only dropped him 3 places, it had forced Ferrari into a more uncertain race. And that race was being decided in the exact area Vasseur had warned about. Long-run understanding, tire behavior, execution under pressure. The car still looked competitive, but the race was no longer asking one simple question. It was asking several at once. How long could the tire survive? How much pace would disappear in traffic? When was the right moment to stop? Where would Hamilton return to the circuit? Would clean air actually be waiting? Would McLaren react immediately? Every answer depended on the one before it, and one wrong estimate could damage the next decision. Then the next one after that. That is how a strong weekend begins to slip away. Not always through one dramatic mistake. Sometimes it happens through uncertainty. A lap spent waiting. A tire pushed slightly too hard. A stop delayed by 1 moment. A rival reacting faster. Each detail appears small. Together they change the race. Hamilton's frustration after the finish came from understanding that the car itself had not failed him. Ferrari had shown real pace. He had qualified second before the penalty. Leclerc had remained close to the podium. The opportunity had existed. That made fifth place much harder to accept. When the car is clearly slow, the explanation is obvious. The team needs more performance. When the car is fast, the questions become more painful. Could the race have been controlled differently? Could Ferrari have reacted sooner? Could Hamilton have been released into cleaner air? Could the tires have been managed with more confidence? Those questions remain because the result does not match the potential. Leclerc finished fourth. Hamilton finished fifth. On paper, those are strong points. But the paper does not show what Ferrari had on Friday. It does not show Hamilton at the top of the second practice session. It does not show Leclerc directly behind him. It does not show Hamilton qualifying second before the penalty. It does not show how close the podium had felt. That is why Vasseur's warning became the center of the weekend. Ferrari had speed, but speed was only one part of the problem. The team needed understanding. It needed confidence in the long-run data. It needed the freedom to make decisions without guessing. And once Hamilton was pushed into traffic, Ferrari lost that freedom. The race became reactive. McLaren controlled the important moments. Ferrari chased them. That difference grew with every lap. And by the time the final positions became clear, the deeper message was impossible to ignore. Ferrari had not been beaten because it lacked potential. It had been beaten because the weekend became more complicated than its information allowed. That is a much more serious problem. A slow car can be improved with new parts. A difficult setup can be changed. But incomplete understanding creates hesitation. And hesitation in Formula One is measured in positions. Vasseur had seen the warning on Friday. Traffic and the red flag had prevented Ferrari from seeing the full picture. Then Sunday demanded exactly that missing picture. Hamilton needed perfect tire judgment. Leclerc needed perfect strategic timing. Ferrari needed to know when the performance would arrive, when it would fade, and how long it could survive. The team did not have complete certainty, and McLaren made that uncertainty expensive. But this was still not the final lesson from Hungary, because Ferrari's pace may have revealed genuine progress. The more important question was whether that progress could survive beyond one circuit, or whether Budapest had simply hidden problems that would return the moment the conditions changed.